Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to the final episode of SME Unplugged 100 Go Digital series brought to you by MDEC and WordLab Business Network. With me, Balidalan, your online MC. Now before we begin, I pray that you and your families are safe at all times. We will get through this together. Now, before we start, let's do a very quick check. Let's just do a quick interaction. Okay, how many of you who are watching right now, please just, put a thumbs up or just put yes, I, if you have been watching or tuning in from the first episode. All right, just type that out so I can see that. Thank you so much for that. Yes, hi, Siu Lee. Thank you, Sudha. Thank you, Jocelyn. Well, there's a lot of people. Thank you so much. Makes me feel like I'm a superstar. Thank you. Thank you. So, episode 6, the grand finale. What an amazing run it has been. We have discussed on important topics from digital transformation, digital marketing, ways in managing cash flows, how e-commerce can help you boost your sales, managing talents over the next 12 months. And today, for the last episode, for the grand finale, we discuss on how to design a battle plan, mitigation strategies, business continuity fit for during and post-COVID-19. Now, before that, to those who just joined in for today's episode, what is SME Unplugged 100 Go Digital all about? So in tandem with 100 Go Digital initiative by Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, better known as MDEC, together with WordLab Business Network, they are hosting the series, which is going to be at the final episode today, essential discussions for SMEs to evolve and rebound during and post COVID-19. Now, let me give you a brief introduction to those who do not know about MDEC or WordLab Business Network. MDEC, established in 1996, is the government's response to the new concept of digital economy. MDEC continues its role to organize and lead Malaysia's digital economy forward. WordLab Business Network, their function is to assist business organizations to adapt and grow in increasingly uncertain and volatile world as such for today's world in COVID-19. The outfit looks into the subjects of globalization, digital transformation through content development across multiple media platforms and events. Now, a brief housekeeping before we proceed to the welcoming remarks. To all participants, if you have any questions during presentation, you can put them up if you're on Zoom, on the Q&A tab. If you're watching it on Facebook, you are not left out. You can also post it up on your comment box over there below, and we will pick it up over here. And if time permits, I'll get the speaker or the panelist to answer all the questions if we can. If we can't, we will actually reply them through chat. There will be two polls. There will be two poll segments, one during the midsection and one during the final lap. So your attention, your experience, your knowledge, and feedbacks are vital in improving our work. Also, a friendly request, this series is designed to generate ideas, so let's not, clog up or put up things which are unwanted on the chat or the comment section. Last but not least, today we are in for a treat because we have a bonus video compiled only for all of you at today's session when we end it. Before we end the session today, of course, yeah. So episode 6, the finale of SME Unplugged 100 Go Digital series begins with a welcoming remarks by founder and CEO of WordLab Business Network, Mr. Sridharan Velasamy, followed by Mr. Mohandan Kamarapulai, Director Business Digital Adoption, MDEC. Take it away, Sri, over to you.
Good morning. Bali, you can hear me, Bali?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good morning to all. All good things must come to an end, Bali. And I hope for the past 6 weeks, the SME Unplugged 100 Go Digital series have been valuable to you as it was to all of us here at WordLabs. Thank you to MDEC and also our partners, and not forgetting, of course, WordLabs crew and MC for making this possible. Those who are joining us for the first time, you can, of course, catch all our previous episodes in our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. The link will be shared in the chat box by one of our colleagues. So since the start of this series, it has centered around digital transformation and adoption, yet our subject experts, our speakers, I've also shared on other business aspects. So now for the final lap, our finale event casts a critical eye on business continuity. What is the overall sentiment towards continuity and its crisis planning? Do you already have a BCP in place? Has it ever been tested? Right. So I believe from the past few episodes and polls that we organized, it's kind of obvious that many of us are unprepared for this crisis. In fact, the true crisis seems to be not the pandemic itself, but our response to handle the crisis from the business standpoint. Hence, that is why the main flavor of this series has always been digital, right? So going digital was already compulsory, must-do thing way before this COVID-19 crisis. However, current crisis have indeed created a perfect storm and accelerated the need to go digital today or now itself. So now all of us are doing a juggling act, balancing the act of adapting digital, looking into digital transformation, trying to reinvent the business to stay relevant, which is of course the main issue to business continuity. So just to add, MDEC's brainchild, the 100 Go Digital initiative was recently conceived to help Malaysian SMEs and micro businesses to go past this digital hurdle. However, in my opinion, there's only so much others can do. We want to be free of hand-holding and root ourselves to remain unshakable and relevant. So who knows, the worst is yet to come, and it's this desire to learn that has brought us here today. As this pandemic, this crisis gave us a chance to relook into ourselves, of course, such as family safety, personal health, new social rules, etc., etc. So too will businesses have to look into, relook in policies, human resource, HR matters, strategies, reevaluate our risk, our competitive advantages, our disadvantages, and measure our readiness to embrace challenges. We have gathered this time captains of industry to learn from them, their tactics in handling this crisis, bombard them with questions, ask them as many questions as we can. Vote for those you find relevant. Please do not forget there is a survey form that will be sent to you post-webinar. Please help us fill that up. We need to further measure the pulse of SMEs and business owners and their sentiments. On behalf of WordLabs family, we thank you. Stay with us. We hope to bring you more relevant content and initiatives very soon. Enjoy the SME Unplugged finale. Stay safe, stay in business, and do stay on. At the end of this webinar, we will share all the data that we have collected throughout this 6 weeks journey in the form of a video. So again, gonna miss you guys, and I would like to hand it over to Muhundan from MDEC. MDEC is our strategic partner, invaluable strategic partner in this SME Unplugged series. And over to you, Muhu, and thank you, MC.
Thank you, Mr. Sridharan, and very good morning, everyone. Very happy to see you again. I was here in the first session, and of course, we've been following every one of the sessions. As you probably don't know, that about a few months ago, we thought about having this workshop, a series of workshops that we planned. And as you probably understand, that today digital has moved from being something which is vertical as an IT industry, today has become horizontal. What that means is that digital is in everything that we do, particularly for the businesses. So there was a need that we realized that we have to have a sort of a platform where we can bring all the different resources out there when it comes to SME digitalization. And hence the birth of this SME Unplugged, working together with WBN. We thought of having it as just like another event series of workshops, and nobody expected the COVID pandemic to emerge such rapidly that we had to rethink of the whole strategy. Of course, there were certain concerns whether we can do this online, whether we'll be able to have a captive audience and also have a targeted audience to reach out to. But I think I'm super glad, looking at 6 sessions that we've done, garnering thousands of viewers every session, and that number is increasing. And more importantly also that the SME is actually gaining real solid benefit from this. And I think that sums up the whole intention that we had, regardless whether it's online or offline. The SMEs are the center of the focus for this entire session. And I think we have created a great impact, I would say, throughout the 6 weeks. I think I'm going to be missing it a little since this is the last session that we're going to have. But also talking about impact, I think from the SMEs, there's quite a bit of feedback that I've also received and I'd like to share with you. I think some of you have become loyal followers of the SME Unplugged, and you probably can relate this very well. Of course, aside from an entertaining MC that we have, Bali, who's also been able to moderate the Q&A session very well. I think that's a great feature we have when we go online. No longer do we have to wait for the Q&A session. All of you could actually immediately interact with us using the chat session. I think that's been great, something that we have captured a lot of ideas as well as suggestions from you. The other thing is the takeaways that the team produces every end of the event. If you probably realize that there's actually the polls that we do, the data that we capture, some of the insights that we have gotten from you, all this information is actually put into a simple infographics. And these infographics are shared 1 or 2 days after the session, and usually shared during at the social, via our social media channels. And I think a lot of people have given me feedback that this is really great, especially even the associations are using this data now because they're very hands-on real-time data that we're capturing on a weekly basis. The other thing is also the support from the associations. I'm actually pretty overwhelmed to see so many SME associations coming forward. On a weekly basis, we've got about close to 20 sites that actually streams this session that we are running today, and that number is increasing. So I would like to thank all the associations out there who've been very supportive in ensuring that your members actually get a full benefit from this. Participants themselves, I think loyal participants, very interesting. I also get one-on-one feedback sometimes directly from you in terms of how how you can benefit, how you can maximize all the digitalization things that we have been providing you. So if you realize throughout the sessions, we give you quick wins. We also give you links to the programs that we are organizing or soon to organize. And especially now that we also included the clinic part, which you have at the end of the session where you have a bit of a hands-on experience, which is, I think, it's slightly unique compared to many webinars out there. So moving forward, this wealth of knowledge that we have captured working with WBN will set the plan for our future plans, our future engagements that we will have. Obviously, this will continue, probably will be in a larger scale, and there'll be some announcement that we be making soon in terms of getting more players to come on board, more ecosystem players to come on board so that we can provide a cohesive way, or rather a holistic way of supporting your digitalization journey. We recently also made an announcement working with DG on a business continuity program, which you probably could find out, and there'll be more information shared with you. And together with many other telcos and banks who are actually coming forward now to see how they can provide you support in your digitalization journey. And this will be a bit more hands-on, what we call an accelerated type of program, where there'll be more commitment required from your side in terms of your time and probably a bit of investment as well. And finally, I just like to say that I think the time would not be any more perfect than this for you to really seriously look at digitalization. You don't have to spend so much, focus on something small but with impact, and that's the focus. Kickstart your digitalization journey, and where the government now itself is putting a lot of focus in our current economic recovery plan, where we are planning to restart and recover. That's the phase we are in. A lot of effort and work that's being put in. So I think it's perfect for you to jump right in and figure out and explore, and more importantly, create something impactful for your organization. Finally, I'd just like to thank WBN for a wonderful work and fantastic work that you guys have been doing as our partner for the last 6 weeks, and also other supporting organizations such as MRCA, SME associations, who've been really focused in helping us to send a message out to their members. Of course, the Sun, who's our partner here, and also many other organizations and also media channels who've been willingly coming forward on their own accord to support and to generate this momentum that we have achieved today. With thousands of viewers every session, I think that's just amazing. And also I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the speakers and the panelists today. We have a lineup of fantastic panelists and speakers today. And I'd just like to thank everyone all of you for taking your time today to share with us and your experiences as well as the knowledge that you have. And finally, to all of you, I think have a great session today. I'm sure it's going to be super productive. Make full use of it, and let's stay in touch and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Mr. Sridharan Velasamy, founder and CEO of Word Labs Business Network for the first segment, and the second one was the very handsome, dashing and smashing Director of Business Digital Adoption, MDEC, Mr. Mohandan Kamrapulai. Now, if you, I would like to just say to Sri and Muhu that, I would like to thank you first and foremost for this last episode. I should have told you this firstly, but I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you, because if it was not for you guys for making this amazing series, I would not have jumped into the bandwagon of doing digital webinars, because I'm so accustomed to performing on stage and hosting events on stage. So thank you guys, thank you so much. And if you agree with what I say, if you echo with whatever I say in the comment section, kindly acknowledge the efforts from Word Lab Business Network and also MDEC by just saying thank you or congratulations and all the best for the following webinars or series coming up in future. Now, let's head up to our speaker session for today, which will be presented by Azlan Zainal Abidin, Chief Enterprise Business Officer, Celcom Axiata. Azlan was appointed as the new Chief Enterprise Business Officer effective 27th May 2019. He brings with him over 22 years of experience in business management, operations, system consulting, IT, strategy, and solutions delivery in leading local and global organizations. I would say, in comparison with all our line of keynote speakers for this webinar, this definitely is the heavyweight champion. So, Mr. Azlan, take it away.
Hello everyone, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And if I might add also Selamat Hari Raya to everyone. Thank you, Bali, for introducing me a bit. I think on the heavyweight part, probably will tone that down a bit more. Thank you to MDEC for inviting me for this excellent basically session with 100 Go Digital, and thank you to Word Labs for basically hosting this today. Yeah, let me share with you my presentation. Today, I wanted to actually share with everyone in terms of the global perspective and basically close down and deep dive a bit into the industry perspective, and then deep dive into more of the SME perspective in terms of the COVID-19 impact and how that impact has actually in a way accelerated the need to go to digitalize our businesses, right? In order for us to survive going forward. So hopefully this presentation will give you some insight, some lights, and it will also give you a bit of idea on how to basically go forward after this. Yeah. If I might just go back a bit, just to cover in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic. In terms of, I think 31st December last year, at the end of the year, everyone was actually happy on holiday. And it was right after Christmas where the Chinese government has actually alerted WHO in terms of the COVID pandemic. Yeah, the virus right after that actually spread quite rapidly across the globe. And after that, we see a lot of countries starting their lockdowns. In Malaysia itself, until today, by the 28th of May, we see there's about 7,600 over cases reported, and globally there was about 5.9 million cases reported with about 300 over 1,000 deaths. If I actually can go a bit lower in terms of what's happening to Malaysia, I think from the 7,600 confirmed positive cases in Malaysia, we only have about 1,300 left, which are in treatment, and 6,000 over which has recovered. In the Southeast Asia landscape, you see that Malaysia has the second highest recovery rates at about 80% and about 1.5% fatality rates. I think what we heard yesterday about 38 cases only reported is actually has given us some light. There's some light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully we'll actually get through this crisis as soon as possible. Yeah, that's actually on the COVID side of it. On the business side of it, globally and internationally, I think what this chart is trying to actually show us is basically the impact of COVID on the profitability of companies on the y-axis, as well as the short-term liquidity impact on the companies, right? If you see on the top right-hand corner, that's where you've got retail, airlines, and tourism, travel. I think these three industries or verticals are the hardest hit due to the COVID impact, yeah? We see the others which are basically impacted quite a bit, but they will actually survive pretty much throughout the pandemic. But that top right-hand corner are the ones who are actually getting really hard hit. If I can actually go down a bit lower to talk about those three different industries, tourism, airlines, and retail. In the tourism industry, I think in the demand perspective from the United Nations estimations, it's going to be about a 22% decrease. In actuality, there's a 22% decrease in Q1 2020. Arrivals in March actually came down to 57% and expected to stay at that level throughout 2020. On the supply side, I think with the restrictions, well, the lockdowns are being a bit relaxed now with CMCO in Malaysia as well. I think the supply in terms of the hotels and the tourism industry has also been at a low side. Yeah, I think just about yesterday we heard a few hotels which are actually closing down, and some of the hotels that I've got here in Malaysia itself are the Ramada Hotel, Tower Regency, Kinta Riverfront, and in Malacca a few hotels as well. So I think we're looking at hotels actually filing Chapter 11. Perhaps this is basically one of the strategy for them to cut overhead and then perhaps later on try to actually revive the business. We will see that as we go along the next few months. Yeah. Financially, in terms of the tourism, the demand, the loss of demand translates into about 67 million international arrivals, which equates to about $80 billion in financial impact, right? So that's a very, very high impact in terms of the tourism industry. United Nations basically estimates about 120 million jobs are at risk. On the airlines perspective, we see the demand going down across the globe, 40 to 50% compared to 2019. With that all-time demand down, airlines are experiencing a lot of cash flow problems. Just as of yesterday when we actually checked, there are a few airlines which has actually registered for Chapter 11 or filed for Chapter 11. Some of the airlines are like Flybe in the UK, who actually filed in March, Virgin in Australia, who filed in April, Compass Airlines, who actually filed in March for the US, and a few others. Yeah. Globally, in terms of the airline industry, revenues have dropped by about 314 billion, expected to drop about 314 billion in 2020. And in Asia Pacific itself, they're actually looking at about 113 billion drop in 2020. The jobs at risk that we actually are basically estimating through IATA is about 25 million jobs. Yeah. On the retail side, I think the retailers, are reporting estimated about 40% reduce in demand for products. I think a lot of it is because physical stores are closed, as well as logistics issue. And I think in terms of the financials that you see there, revenues are going to drop by about 60% in 2020. jobs at risk, which the Retail Chain Association estimates about 30% of retailers are going to lay off their workforce in the next 6 months. On the telecommunication perspective, I think I'm just going to go through this with you. I think in terms of the demand side for Celcom, we see a lot less in terms of subscribers coming up to the network, and we see challenges from our B2B clients in terms of cash flow and liquidity to pay for their subscription plans, right? I think that's actually on the demand side. But however, on the positive light in terms of demand, we see because of the MCO, because of the COVID, people are less prone to churn and change networks during this time. The new norm that we talked about with people working more remotely, but people working from home, we see a spike in terms of the network data traffic for about 30% during MCO, and we feel that this spike in traffic will actually continue for quite a while until the end of the year. Yeah. Higher demand for remote connectivity, secure data connections, especially in B2B. I think that's actually the reasons for the spike in the network data traffic. On the supply side, I think for Celcom, I think we do actually provide services in terms of connectivity as well as devices. We see device stocks inventory coming on to low because manufacturing firms are being closed, and logistics is probably a challenge to actually get over to the operators. Yeah, so I think the devices actually dampened a bit due to the COVID, but hopefully I think it will be revived soon as all the businesses stabilize. Yeah. In terms of supply as well, we had a few challenges in terms of rolling out new connectivity areas, new towers, etc. At the end of the day, I think the critical upgrades we went on and actually did the critical upgrades, and we prioritized which ones we actually had to basically invest and roll out. Yeah. On the operation side, I think we had less pressure in terms of call-ins for complaints and support, just because I think a lot of people are working from home, and I think that the network was stable in that sense, and so we saw the calls basically reducing from our call centers. I think on the personnel side, a few things. I wanted to mention a few things on the personnel side. On the staff side, I think there was some feel of insecurity during the COVID period, but we actually maintained and reassured the staff that that the jobs are there, and as long as we remain productive in terms of even working from home. And I think a lot of digitalization, whether we actually use the applications that actually allowed us to connect from home, actually helped on the productivity. Yeah. Celcom Axiata itself played a critical role in helping the nation in terms of combating COVID-19, helping the government on a lot of areas, which I will cover later. I think that actually gave the staff the sense of pride that we are actually doing something for the nation. On the financial, I think similar to the other industries, I think with the low sales volume, the low transactions, I think that actually affected the cash flow to a certain extent, but hopefully we will actually survive through the pandemic, and then and hopefully the business will stabilize soon. Yeah, I think those were actually the industry perspective of it. From the Celcom's perspective in terms of managing the impact, I think we actually faced it into 3 different phases. What we can actually do currently during the COVID, and what we can do in the next term, the near term, and also in the medium term. I think the immediate priority during that COVID era was actually addressing everyone's short-term needs, whether people had to actually work from home, to make sure that they were equipped to actually work from home, to ensure that the business was running to a certain extent. If it was not physically, it would actually be run online. And also the main priority at that point of time was actually helping the government combat the crisis. Yeah. In the near term, we're trying to prepare for the rebound. I think with the new norms, we're trying to actually have more sales online rather than physically. have more flexibility for our workforce, so they can actually work from home or they can actually work in the office, and also trying to actually give more CSRs education out there to the community so they can actually basically rebound from this COVID impact. Yeah, I think medium to long term, we want to make sure that we address the new norms, we address the new demand coming out from the COVID impact. Yeah. One of the things that we actually did when the MCO started for Malaysia was that we ran a dipstick survey to see how the COVID has impacted the SMEs, basically more of the SMEs within our base, right, of subscribers. And I think when we actually sent this out, the responses that we got are actually in this particular dipstick survey. The responses we got are basically more from, if you see location, we got a lot of responses from the cities, but covering basically mostly nationwide. We, out of about 20 to 30,000 surveys that we sent out, we've got about, I think, 5% coming back to us. And if you see in terms of these different data points, we've covered pretty much across all. In terms, if you look at the lower left-hand corner, the operational method, we got 50% of the respondents coming back from people who actually run their shops or their stores physically, and brick and mortar, and we got about 39% to 40% of people who actually run their shops or run their businesses online. And the same thing with sales channels. So I think we pretty much got a feel of people who run businesses online, e-commerce, and people who run businesses brick and mortar. The outcome of that particular survey, we see that we categorize the challenges into about 5 things, and we actually corresponding those challenges, we see the needs. We also actually charted out the needs. In terms of the challenge, we see that the 2 main challenges is, because I think it's quite obvious, it's low sales volume because there's no transactions that happens during that time, during the COVID period, and insufficient cash flow. Yeah. And that actually is a vicious cycle: low sales volume, insufficient cash flow, because of the government regulation at that time of MCO. So I think a lot of the correspondents were saying that they hope that the government will relax the MCO as soon as possible, but they do understand the need for the MCO. And I think one of the challenges that they had was that they still had to pay their overhead costs for the business. Yeah. With those challenges, we saw that the needs came through from the SMEs. The need was basically to reduce the operating costs of the SMEs, basically perhaps, and also to increase sales through online business. Perhaps increasing sales through online business, which will reduce the overhead costs, thus reducing the operating costs of these businesses. Yeah, and we see that some of the needs also for businesses to not make really major investments now. That means they cannot actually invest into projects, initiatives that will actually have a huge cash outlay, right? Number 4, we see the needs as well of these SMEs or businesses trying to increase sales via e-commerce marketplace, as well as entering new markets within the SME segments. Yeah, so I think these were the insights from the SME survey that we got. And I think throughout this survey, we've tried to figure out how we can actually help the SMEs during this time of need. I think based on those needs, based on those challenges, based on those needs, we charted out what Celcom itself could actually do to help, right? I think it's more in the intention of businesses helping businesses to grow, and it's a chain. Once you help businesses to grow, the whole ecosystem will also grow, and everybody actually does well. On the Celcom part of it, I think with the spike in data, with the change in terms of the new norms, we see that mobile and data internet is basically critical for businesses to basically run and operate, right? I think we actually came up with products where data before could not be shared, but now could be shared across the organization. So a chunk of data could actually be used across different staff or personnel of an SME organization, where it can actually be prioritized who actually needs more data, and is not so no data goes to waste, right? And I think on the same side as well, we've got business wireless with high-speed connectivity for areas, or for them to actually use it remotely and to have some mobility in terms of actually using the wireless aspects of data, right? So I think the connectivity part was actually the critical pillar of it in helping these SME organizations to basically move towards e-commerce, towards online. However, we also, on the second quadrant, the top right quadrant, digitalizing the business, we thought there's a few steps for businesses to basically move towards fully e-commerce or fully digitalized. The first step is probably for these businesses to actually automate their operations and processes. I think with that, we do actually have tools and kits and equipment for businesses to either run their businesses through digital payments, run their digital marketing through our omni communication software tools, to actually have unified communications, to actually have integrated mobile lines and business virtual phone extensions through our VirtuX, as well as having POS systems or point of sale systems which are integrated to their cash registers. Yeah, so I think we do actually have all this in our business suite, and it will actually help the businesses to actually go one step further in digitalizing business. Once they have digitalized their business, then they've got the right setup for them to actually go online. That's where we actually have strategic partnerships. One of the strategic partnerships other than MDEC is that we do also have partnerships with Google. We do a lot of education sessions, education webinars with Google, where we actually educate SMEs how to actually curate their own websites, how to actually work their business emails, how to actually work remote, online and offline, right? Moving forward, we'll actually go into Google Cloud Platform as well to provide the SMEs a B2B marketplace so they can actually transact in terms of that platform. Last but not least, I think the other thing in addressing the needs and challenges, we knew that the SME needed financial assistance in the near term, in the short term, as well as in the medium term. We actually set up between Celcom Axiata and Axiata Group. We set up a fund of about 150 million cash to provide financial assistance to our micro SMEs. Yeah, and the micro financing actually range from about 1,000 to 10,000 ringgit, and the whole application process is online. It will take about 3 minutes, and within, if you are eligible, you pass all the prerequisites, the fund will actually be in your bank accounts within 48 hours. So these are some of the ways that we assisted our partners during the COVID and even after the COVID, and hopefully I think it gives them some sense of surety that there is someone out there to actually help them to basically revive their businesses. I think this slide here, I think this was just a slide just to remind us of what MDEC is doing in the government. I don't think I need to basically elaborate on this. This is what the 100 Go Digital Program is for, is basically on the government's aspirations to get businesses to be digitalized, right? So I think this is pretty much it for in this whole program itself. Last but not least, I think just a bit in terms of what the other things that what I mentioned earlier of how actually Celcom helped the nation during the COVID era or during the COVID pandemic. I think we spent about 360 million worth in terms of consumer relief assistance. And if you see that some of the things that you see that you can actually experience out there is we provided 1 GB of data free to all our postpaid prepaid customers during the whole MCO, CMCO period, right? Because we knew that people were actually using data from home, and it was actually now critical for them to actually have the extra data to actually work, etc., etc. We also did a lot of CSRs in terms of providing connectivity to hospitals, especially the 57 COVID hospitals where we provided connectivity and we provided a lot of help to the medical officers there. On the right side, we actually had partnerships. We had partnership with the likes of Grab, the frontliners, to basically provide the frontline, the riders, the drivers, a better mobile plan. So for the drivers, so they can actually survive throughout that period, where we've got rebates in there, etc. Right? And I think, like what I said earlier, in terms of the network investment, we kept on investing in the network. We did not stop because I think it's a two-pronged strategy. Number one is by basically continuing the work we're giving SMEs, we're giving all these organizations work to do, and doesn't stop just like that. And number two is these are the critical upgrades for us to ensure that the network is stabilized, right? So I think the network investments actually still continue during the COVID period. And I think just as before, like what I mentioned, in terms of how we assisted the SMEs is with the 150 million fund, yeah? That ends my presentation. I hope I was not too fast in presenting that, because I realized I only had 30 minutes. And I think that will actually be from me in Celcom. Back to you, Bali. Thank you. And I'm open for any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Like I said, and I stand by what I said earlier, Azlan, that definitely you are the heavyweight on the speaker session, because whatever you have presented was definitely clear, concise, and had all the details inside it, and it's very insightful. So thank you so much, Azlan. And I've not picked up any questions at the moment, so we have a couple of them on the Q&A tab, but that will be answered with the chat box option. So thank you once again, Azlan Zainal Abidin, Chief Enterprise. Well, first poll for the segment, for today's segment, first poll will be coming up in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. And we have usually there's about 6 to 7 questions. Yes, 7 questions. Questions comprise: what are your thoughts on BCP, Business Continuity Plan? Which of these have been implemented in your company? What are some factors that drive the investment in business continuity? What are some challenges that SME face in business continuity management? Is maintaining customer trust, loyalty a challenge for you during these challenging times? What are the steps taken to ensure your customers remain engaged and loyal since the beginning of MCO? And how do you stay connected with customers through the COVID-19 outbreak? So I'm going to give you guys a minute to put up the questions, or basically answer these questions. Now remember, guys, that there will be a bonus video compiled only for all of you. So stick around till the end of today's session. We will be playing a special video at the end. So don't log off, stick around. We got about an hour 15 more to go, and then we will play the video. So now let's move on to our following segment. And as we get drenched with ideas to panel discussion, customer loyalty, trust during times of uncertainty. Now remember, for any questions, click on the Q&A tab and type your questions over there. You can use the upvote option as well, and your question will be going up if that is relevant to those who once answered a similar type of question. But let's not waste any more time by introducing our panelists for this episode, our final episode for today. And Nurul CEO, Mimpikita, born in the United Kingdom but grew up in the state of Johor, Nurul is the eldest girl among 4 siblings and mother to twins, Adam and Noah. Nurul has engineering background with a master's in engineering from Queensland, Australia. However, she has passion with strong influence growing up, whereby her parents are an architect and seamstress. Nurul has been exposed to the creative world since young. Nurul has been exposed to the creative world, and thus, upon graduating, she decided to chase a dream and passion and has never looked back ever since. As a result, Mimpikita was born in 2008, and she holds the post of as the managing director and also oversees the creative designing and production. Welcome, Nurul. Up next, we have Datuk Sri Dr. Azhari Yaakob. We have Dr. Azhari Yaakob, Group CEO, completed his, because he was performing a surgery earlier this morning. I hope he has completed it. Just a brief introduction about Dr. Sri Dr. Azhari Yaakob. He currently holds the position as Group Chief Executive Officer of IGN Holdings Sdn Berhad and Chief Executive Officer and Senior Consultant Cardiac Surgeon of Institute Jantung Negara. He's also an accomplished cardiac surgeon with over 25 years of experience. He is a key opinion leader in the Asia Pacific region in subspecialty areas of valve repair, achievements in Malaysia surgery. Welcome, Dato. If you can hear me, but Dr. Sri is obviously not here yet.
Thank you.
I hope he should be joining us shortly. Hi, Dr. Sri. Hello.
Hello.
God.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction.
Thank you. And up next, we have Sarah Lian, CEO Suppagood, if I pronounced that correctly.
Suppagood.
Sarah is super good. Sarah is an entrepreneur who creates opportunities for inspiring women to share their gift and talents to affect positive change. She is the founder and managing director of Suppagood, a Malaysian talent management agency that aims to nurture talent potential and develop their professional careers. And her latest venture was the launch of Suppagood gives women the tool to succeed in every area of their life. With just a handful of lifestyle coaches, Sarah and her team have created transformational experiences that have touched the lives of hundreds of women since she first started this on 2019. And last but not least, our final panelist for today. She is the chief dream maker of the Enfiniti Creative Universe, founder of the Enfiniti Academy, creator of Tiara Rasa. Tiara Rasa Escapes Glamping Resort. I've known about the place. I've Googled about it, and I couldn't extend. An award-winning entrepreneur, producer, director, and actor, also a digital storyteller, arts educator, creator of worlds as spectacular years of dream making, pushing boundaries in film, TV, musical theater, arts, education, and tourism, not forgetting hospitality. She produced and starred in Putri Gunung Ledang. I can remember Cinta Adalah Suci, Lahir Dari Jiwa, I think so, if I'm not mistaken. That was the song, Asmara Dana, which was the first Malaysian ever film to premiere at the prestigious Venice Film Festival and a consideration at the 2005 Academy Awards Best Foreign Film producer and founder Enfiniti, Tiara Jacquelina.
Thank you.
And lastly, moderating this discussion, as I told by Zura, as TM1, corporate strategies, business planning, methodical, analytic, emphatic, and strategic are her core personal strengths, which she combines with her technical strength in legal and smart city planning to spur her passion in making the world a better place through IoT, ICT. That's how you. That's exactly how an hospital should sound. So be accustomed to it. So make the world a better place through IoT, ICT, and smart services. So as I told, such a tough lineup, very, very strong lineup. Please take it away.
Thank you, Bali. Hello, members of the audience. Top of the morning to all 4 panel members. Dato' Sri Azhari, Puan Sri Tiara, Nurul, Tiara. Thank you. Tiara, Nurul, and Sarah. How are we all this morning? I hope we are all staying safe and have not yet gone crazy during this MCO.
Yes, we've passed the crazy part already.
Anyway, thank you all for joining here this morning. I'm sure it has been a challenging time for all of us with this current upheaval. We know that the SMEs particularly have been hit hard by the situation, but as they say, every cloud has a silver lining. For one, many conventional businesses who for so long have been repelled by technology are now suddenly going into digitalization. We suddenly realized that there are so many things that we thought we could not do without. We suddenly discovered that, yeah, we can do without them. Long, arduous meeting with Kopi and Karipap, we suddenly discover, yep, we can do 10 minutes Zoom meeting. And like Mr. Muhunan said earlier, we don't need fancy hotels with makan-makan to hold effective seminars. And you know what? We suddenly find that we do like online shopping. We can go through a whole fasting month without our Bazaar Ramadan. So, you know, this stay-at-home order has obviously changed the way we run our businesses and live our lives. And it does seem that these changes are here to stay. So today, we would like to discuss about how these changes are impacting our SME friends, what they're doing to adapt to these changes, what help are needed. And at the end of the session, we hope to be able to share with other SMEs these experiences and the lessons learned. I'm going to kick this off and break the ice by quickly asking each of the panelists if you can describe in one word, just one word, how this current situation is affecting our business. Dato' Sri, if you may, one word, Dato' Sri?
Disruption.
Disruption, nice. Tiara, what's your word?
Pivot.
Sorry?
Pivot.
Pivot. Okay, we'll get back to that. Nurul, what's your word?
Challenging.
Challenging, okay. And Sarah?
Opportunity.
Opportunity. I love that. It's very positive. Okay, with all those words in mind, I'm going to kick this off with our panelists from IGN. IGN is obviously not an SME, but we have brought them here today specifically as somewhat like a big brother to share advice from an Abang Long perspective. That's really, if you could you perhaps briefly share the background of your clientele, how 6 months ago IGN managed your clients, how you ensured that it remains above other similar service providers, how that has changed today, and perhaps if you can share what tools you have used to ensure uninterrupted services to your customers. Dato' Sri.
Thank you, Isa. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in this webinar. I am learning into the webinar, and since the COVID, we get into live FB, and we are managing our omni-channel to get connected with our patients and customers. So the first word that I mentioned just now is disruption, and it's both disrupting to our patients, disrupting to our customer, and disrupting it's a disruption to our operation, day-to-day operation. But it gives opportunity for exploring new opportunity. For one is that in terms of customer, Previously, we are seeing a healthy increase in our private patients, and also a healthy increase in foreign patient coming to Institute Jantung Negara. But with this COVID crisis, the COVID-19 crisis, obviously, I mean, the foreign patients are now zero, and we foresee that for until the end of the year, with the government's travel restrictions. And although we believe there is a pent-up demand for Malaysia, especially in Indonesia, Indonesian patients. So, but then because of the regulations of the travel regulations and quarantine, 14 days quarantine, I think there's we foresee that the next, till the end of the year, we foresee that foreign patients in Malaysia as a whole, medical tourism as a whole in Malaysia will be zero, right? And so, and again, for the private patients, paying patients, we foresee is quite challenging for us as well as private hospital because of the economic disruption, of the crisis. Yeah, patients are people are losing jobs. People are more conservative in their spending, and the willingness probably to wait longer in the government hospitals. Yeah, they don't mind waiting for a few weeks or few months for treatment because they want to preserve cash. Yeah, and also the disruption of economy and jobs. So we see in 6 months to the end of the year, in terms of our clientele, we are quite challenging in terms of getting patients. But for us, it's quite, we are in both boats. We are also doing government patients, right? So we foresee an increased demand of government-sponsored patients, subsidized patients. So we would not see too much of in terms of income disruption. Yeah. So we are gearing towards servicing our government patients. In terms of our private patients, because of the economic disruptions and they are a bit more cost sensitive in terms of seeking treatment, we are putting forth from July onwards, we are putting packages, yeah, in terms of treatment, so that the paying patient would know with a peace of mind that when they come for certain treatment, for example, a bypass surgery, this is how much they would pay, without the the worry that cost may escalate. So, and also we are mindful our role as a GLC, government link and government link company, that we want to provide service for the whole Malaysians. So we are putting the package as low as possible to anticipate that patients are becoming more cost sensitive in these trying economic times. So these are the things that we are moving forward, and we see is an opportunity as well. In terms of internal workings of our hospital, of course, we are limiting the physical contact, and with that we are accelerating our digitalization. I mean, within our forward planning, we have EMR, which is electronic medical records. So we are continuing with that. We are accelerating with that, and we have plans for integrated call center, where the physical and the digital and also social platforms are integrated. So we are accelerating that platform for us to keep connecting with our patients. So with this, also we are accelerating our home delivery medication during the MCO, and a few months ahead, we will be providing and have been providing free delivery of medications of our patients. So these are ways, some of the ways that we are connecting with our patients. We have our own studio now. We are making our own studio in one of the spare rooms of our studio run by our people. We have live FBs for connecting with patients and the public at large, and we will have a webinar for our trying to connect back with our Indonesian patients. Yeah, so we will have a small session for Indonesian our patients, webinar with doctors so that they can ask questions and so on and so forth. So these are the things that we are looking at. I think it's a wake-up call for us. It's a disruption, but it's also an imperative for us to remain agile and innovative in providing high quality of care to the patients. Yeah, I think you know. I mean, I can elaborate further, but I would like to give opportunity to the other panelists. Okay, back to you, Iza.
Thank you, Dato' Sri. Thank you so much for the insights. Very informative indeed. I'm going to take it one step further. Tiara, you work in the tourism and performing arts industries, and both these industries have also faced their own sets of challenges. And understandably, SMEs do not have access to the same resources available to the big boys like IGN. I mean, not everybody can afford to suddenly have their own studios, have the EMR, have all the digitalization tools and resources like the big boys. So how then have you and your companies, or even your friends in the same industry, how have you coped with this upheaval, cognizant of the limitations that the SMEs have? Tiara.
Well, very quickly, we looked for all the available government grants that were available, and we applied for the SRF under all the different companies that I had. And we were fortunate enough to get one approval. Gosh, and it wasn't easy, I must say, because you never know. Well, we never thought we would have to be in a situation where we would have to race for a grant very suddenly, and so we did. But anyway, I think more importantly, it was a time for us to just sit back and relook at our entire strategy and our entire reason for being, and look at how we could, that's why the word is pivot, I guess. We took 3 days. I took 3 days to just sleep and just recover, because I was so exhausted from all the work I'd been doing, and which was endless. And I found that this pandemic actually gave me time for clarity to sit and think about what really mattered the most, because I just kept doing so much. I'm just a habitual I'm sure Sarah and Nurul can relate. I've always been, I've never not worked. Ever since I was in college, I used to work. So all day and all night, I'm creating things. When I watch a movie, I'm inspired by something I want to, I'm just a entrepreneur by habit. But COVID just forced me to just sit and realign and think about what matters now, what is even available to be done, and how we can jump very quickly onto that digital bandwagon now. Yeah.
Okay, so how has your companies cope with it? Meaning, what are you planning to do from now on? With you were mentioning with the digitalization, and how is your resort, your the performing arts industry? How are they going to come out of this?
Well,
that was a very long sigh.
Yes. Tiarasa Escapes is closed for now, temporarily, as are most of the other hotels. And unfortunately, we have people dying to come, and they're like, "Can you just open for 4 rooms?" We think that we are technically we're in Bentong, so that's where the is, you know. So we say we can't get your police letter to come across. So, you know, I think right now it's we're just, well, not me, I wish I was there, but our Tiarasa team is spending, well, they spent 2 months sprucing up the place, cleaning up the tents, they've grown a farm. We have a whole farm right now with not just vegetables, but peacocks and all sorts of things. So they've been busy just making nature even more beautiful there. And I was like, why am I not an MCO there in Janda Baik? Why am I at home? But really, it's just preparing the place for when we are able to open and have families and retreats like Suppagood, super retreats there again.
Yes, we'll be good. We'll be good. We look forward to having it up again.
It's so bad, you know, Izzatul, because people won't be traveling, people won't be flying anywhere for a while, and we're just 40 minutes away from KL. So, you know, it's
and it's beautiful. Can I just say that it's really beautiful, and it's so worth the drive. It's amazing. So I'm just gonna put that in there.
Say, come back again soon.
I will.
and obviously we can't do digital ourselves to Bentong, so we can't, and that's one limitation. But from the perspective of performance art, is it possible for us to say enjoy, if you are going to remake Puteri Gunung Ledang, which I hope you would, but if you were going to remake Puteri Gunung Ledang, is that something that we can look forward to, you know, enjoying it not at Istana Budaya, but you know, from other means?
Well, Izzatul, I'm not sure you realize we're actually planning to restage Puteri Gunung Ledang in August.
And you're playing?
And we have sold 7,000 tickets.
Oh,
it's our show that sold the moment we announced it. 7,000 tickets just flew out.
Congratulations!
Yeah, people have been dying to watch it, and we decided, okay, let's bring it back. And then we sold 7,000 tickets. And in March, we had to stop. We're like, oh, hang on, something's happening here. What do we do? So what we did very quickly as a company to pivot was we said, if this pandemic were to go on, we don't know how long it will go on for. It could be 1 year, it could be 6 months, it could be 2 years, and people might not be going back to the theater so quickly. So what we did was we decided to start an online streaming site. So it's on Vimeo, and it's called Enfiniti V. So we started showing our older shows, our pre-recorded shows online, and we're slowly trying to build an audience online, theater audiences who would be willing to watch shows online, and slowly get people used to the idea of enjoying concerts and shows, live shows as well, on Vimeo or any other channel.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That sounds really cool, and I'm sure with all of us fearing to go out, that will take up, I hope.
Well, we're still hoping. The theaters might open in some way that will not be too rugi for us to put on a show, you know, with social distancing and chairs taken out and all that. But at least we're slowly getting people used to the idea of our plan B.
Okay, cool. How about you, Nurul? How has Mimpikita overcome these challenging times? Or perhaps maybe you have taken advantage of the new norm to build your client base. I understand from our friends at Post Laju, they are like swamped with all the demand created by our online shopping. So perhaps the fashion industry had a thing to do, had a thing or two to do this. Nurul, what say you?
Hi everyone.
Hey.
So as I know everyone knows that this is, I think between March to June is our busiest month. So this is the only time for us for fashion business to, you know, like get extra money, extra income just to cover back all those months that we didn't make, you know, like as much money. So and we had a very tough year last year. So this year was sort of getting a new, how to say, like hope. So when this COVID things came, so I was at first a bit down because 2020 was like a year for me to like restart. So but I take it positively. I at first we were so overwhelmed, we don't know what to do, but I thank God for my sisters and my team to actually you know, cool me down and calm me down. We had a few meetings just on the first day of when the MCO started. Actually, we had like few meetings before that, like thinking on how can we, you know, because there's already like people telling us that there's gonna be lockdown and so on and so on. So we actually decided to do like alternate days where some people work these days and some people work different days. So we are actually prepared, but when the government announced the MCO, of course we were like still shocked. But alhamdulillah, we are okay. The first few days was tough. So we like thinking on how can we, you know, sell our products without like hard sell, like in terms of marketing. We thank God that we have a very, I have to say, quite stable website. We started Mimpikita in 2008 using blog shop where we sell our product online, and then few years after, like 2 years after, I think in 2010, we had our website. So we've been like doing online for years, and still, of course, there's a lot of improvement that needs to be done, but I think we're okay on that. It's just that to get people, because as you can see, a lot of people, like I think has been a bit sensitive on a lot of things, you know. They expect us to be, you know, a bit more sensitive. How can they shop when they are not like, you know, happy when some of them has been laid off, some of them has been cut off from their actual salary. So we were like, we had to think like ways on how we can tackle these people to actually still shop. So yes, a lot of like positive content for our customers. We actually did a lot of more contents than we usually did. We had like live sessions, so we call our sessions MK Mimpikita Cares, so and shares. So we had like live cooking show, and then and at the same time we try to like make them happy and like give them ideas on what they can do at home, and at the same time we slot in like, you know, insert like giveaways on our products, and then they are like happy and like give them more positive notes on how we can tackle this situation. So yes, less hard sell, but you know, just insert like marketing ways on how like can still sell our products and be sensitive. So yeah.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, your customer base has always been those that are a little bit more technology savvy. They are very accepting to online shopping and whatnot. But have you seen an increase in your customer base? I mean, new customers coming on, with people not being able to go out and shop. Have you seen an increase in online customers?
Alhamdulillah, surprisingly, because I think when we did the live sessions and then like a lot of contents, with TikTok, you have live session, you have those activities. I think we gained a lot of new customers.
Alhamdulillah.
But of course, with a lot of new customers and reaching out more to more audiences, you'll get like different feedback, different people, different how to say, like it's not actually a problem, but you have to like they expect you to be like 24/7 online, like replying to you every second, or if not they will make it viral and like put exclamation marks all the time. So yes, but alhamdulillah, it's a good thing, you get to reach to wider audiences. So yes.
You need a robot to answer your
Yeah. That's right. I mean, like, even when you're like about to break your fast, they will like text you, and I'm like with my phone all the time, but I and then you'll be like so tempted to reply, but you have to calm down and not to like put them aside. But as a business owner, I'm like very how to say, I'm so attached to my brand, so like all the time I'm with my phone and try to step up and like reply to those DMs, because when they attack my brand platform, I try to not to reply to that. But when they attack my personal profile, then I have to step up and like reply and try to be on their side, try to calm down and not be, yeah.
I understand. I think I get that. I mean, it's so technology, whatever form that we have taken up, it is just an enabler to further your business. But like you said, it's more the content, it's more the personal touch to your customers. That is more important. With all the technologies that's available, it doesn't matter. What matters is how you treat your customers at the end of the day. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Sarah, I'll bring this to you. I understand that in your line, you meet a lot of talent and you create opportunities for them. So today, what are you doing differently to continue attracting those talents and creating those opportunities for them? Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm just so honored to be on this panel with such amazing people. I'm totally resonating with what the panelists have said already. Just understanding the shock that has happened to your business, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Trying to look for funding, trying to be able to stay afloat. And then exactly like what Nurul was saying was that you're trying to survive in this situation and still trying to be sensitive to what's happening. So with Suppagood and with our latest project, Super Retreat, the whole idea of it is to help women succeed. We look at all facets of their life, whether it's your relationships, your personal relationships, your work, your dream, how your well-being. And a lot of the things that we do are always these experiences that empower women, and they're live. We held our first bi-invitational retreat at Tiarasa, which is why I say it was absolutely beautiful. And yeah, our focus is about connection. It's about engaging with people. It's about seeing them eye to eye. But when you're all at home, you can't do that. And so one of the reasons why I spoke about opportunity was because this really created a chance for me. Hold on, I think someone's coming in. This really created a chance for me to be able to really grow this business in ways that I never thought I would be able to, because, you know, we are working with experiences that are locally in Malaysia. People from Singapore, people from Australia, people from the UK can't join. And since a lot of the marketing that we've been doing have primarily been through social media, which is free, that's really where we found our audience, our crowd, the women that come, and also not to be insensitive to what's happening. Exactly what Nurul was saying. She was saying, I'm trying to run a business, but at the same time, I'm unable to, because people are saying everyone's just lost their jobs. We hear about so many layoffs. And so one of the things that we've started doing was putting in a pay-as-you-can model. We put a suggested amount of how much you'd be able to pay, but at the same time, giving people the ability to choose and say, I want to join this, but I can't afford it, and not being discriminating against that. And so we believe that this is all about an energy exchange. I don't like doing things for free. I've been on the other side of the coin. I've been an intern before. I've been an unpaid extra in a movie. I've done all these things, and it sucks, because it's telling someone that they're not worth it, you know, and that they have to be there for free. And so what we offer is a service, and we don't think it needs to be free, but I think people can decide that for themselves, and that onus is on the participant, and that onus is on someone that wants to, you know, participate in this. So, so yeah, those are the things that I've been doing, and I have really seen such a huge growth. Like I said, I would have never been able to cater to people from the UK, from North America, from Australia, from Singapore, with my small, locally based experiences in Malaysia. And I think that's why I say opportunity, because I'm so grateful that people have come in out from the woodworks and say, I always wanted to join one of your retreats, but I can't find the time to fly all the way to wherever you're going to be hosting it. And so they said, but whatever you keep doing, just keep letting me know. And so I've been doing these workshops, and my revenue has jumped, although it's not what it used to be. But, you know, my revenue has definitely jumped from April to May. And it's that consistency and just having that dialogue. And I think for us, and also like what everyone else was saying, we're trying to add value. You know, Enfiniti V is trying to say, hey, let's look back into the arts. Let's look at what joy this has brought us. Mimpikita is saying, hey, you know, we're at home with you too. Here are some great tips. And so for us, it's really about trying to add value and saying, what else can we do for you? Well, how can we serve you? So when, you know, for example, when Blue Ink fell, and a lot of us that have built our careers off the backs of these writers that have told our stories, we felt that it was so important for us to give space to and hold space for these writers or anyone that had been affected by this. And it was just a true, like, it was a shock for every single person that ever read the news. And so we said, you know, tonight we're going to hold a circle where we're going to just let you grieve and let you process a lot of these things that happen. And it was for free. And it was just saying, this is our way of giving back. And so even when the first couple weeks of lockdown happened, a lot of these women were saying, can you guys do something? We don't know what's happening. It's so traumatic. It's a shock. Everyone's processing things differently. Fights are happening at home. And so we said, okay, let's go back to what we want to do. We want people to feel confident. We want them to feel connected. And we want them to also understand that whatever's happening to them, that they're not alone. So when we were able to create this, I found that our community was able to grow and grow in so many ways that I never expected that I could ever foresee. And so I think, you know, this time has really taught us a lot. It's given us a lot of clarity. It's given us an opportunity to drown out certain things that we don't want. And, you know, things that have had to fall off, they've had to fall off, and there's nothing we could do about it. But what can you control? You can control what you can offer and what you can give to the world. And I think that's really what Super Retreat has been all about.
Okay, cool. Congratulations for being able to weather this and coming out tops. But if you may share with the rest of us who may not be so as fortunate as you have, what tools have you used, or what, you know, I hear that you are reaching out to more people, you're creating more opportunities. What tools have you used? What resources, you know, that we can also perhaps copy from you?
I mean, if you want to talk about software, let's talk about Instagram. Let's talk about Facebook.
Free ones, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we're all suffering. I'm definitely suffering in my business right now, but it's trying to be resourceful. And when you're able to digitalize a lot of things that you do, you don't feel constrained by being in a physical office or whatnot. You know, my staff have laptops. Go do your work wherever you feel you're going to be most productive. Why should I limit the way you work? But there are certain expectations that I want to happen. And so, you know, we use Zoom, just like how we're using now. We use Zoom. That has a minimal subscription, and we're able to create that same exact experience and still feel so connected and still feel so private. Social media, Facebook, Instagram, it's free. I haven't even had to put any ads out there. And the thing is that you have to understand, I mean, one of the things that I love so much is connective intelligence. And it's the opportunity that you're able to connect with your audience. And you do that by being completely authentic, by telling them what is happening to maybe yourself even. And when you're able to open up that small window of vulnerability that allows people to see through you, they're more than happy to get behind you. And I think that's what it is. I mean, we can talk about my mailer software, we can talk about the programs that I use, but really the essence of it is the communication that comes through despite whatever medium I choose.
Thank you. I think it's the same message that Tiara and Nurul has mentioned earlier. Technology is just an enabler, and it's the personal touch. It's the content that's more important, and that's why we want to connect to you. I'm going to open this to either Tiara, Sarah, or Nurul. Did any of you face any challenges in terms of, you know, other challenges other than those that you have mentioned before, say in terms of infrastructure in Malaysia, or maybe resources in terms of human resources, for example? Have you faced any challenges? Any of you ladies? Anyone would like to take that question?
Money.
Money, I hear that. I hear that. Our friends outside MDEC, Bank Negara Malaysia, and all those, I think they're listening in. I'm sure Azlan is also still listening in. My friends from Celcom Malaysia is also listening in. Infrastructure, for example, or human resources. Are we equipped as far as knowledge and capability is concerned? Are we equipped enough to go into this digitalization?
Well, for me, as a company, as Enfiniti suddenly realized that the one person, well, I realized that the one person I should have invested in is a chief technology officer. If I could have afforded a, you know, like a digital expert for my company, I want him now. I need to know how to, you know, how to reach out to clients. I need to know how to target, you know, our audiences. Gosh, you know, that's one area I really wish. You know,
right.
And I spent the whole of MCO just doing seminars online and learning about digital marketing and getting all my staff. I said, you guys are at home, just sit and just learn. That's what we've been doing.
But it's good, isn't it? I mean, we would not have done that had it not been for the MCO.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have been too busy doing this.
Exactly.
Dato' Sri, as the big brother to all this, what advice would you give to the ladies here, Dato' Sri?
Oh no, I'm not a big brother. I mean, we're learning through, you know, as we go along. Just to pick up on your first, the previous question, the earlier question, is that I mean, for medical care, I mean, regulations is a challenge for us. You know. Say, for example, we want to do e-consult,
Right.
e-consult, but then the Malaysian Medical Council have got restrictions on this, right? If you want to have home delivery prescriptions, it has to be signed by a doctor, or you have to see the patient. So as we accelerate the digitalization needs of the patients, the regulation needs to be up to date to the required thing. I mean, even for example, cloud storage for medical is not allowed to have a foreign the medical records to be stored in a cloud in a foreign site. It has to be in Malaysia because of the confidentiality conditions. So these are the regulation, maybe MDEC or the government, if you are listening in, to look at this as we reach out to patients, prescribing or patient needs to have medication to be delivered to them, whether the regulation can keep up with that conditions. Back to your question just now, how do we cope with this? I think to me, it's as what the ladies have resonate. It's about connection during these trying times. Is about connecting to your base, and to be sensitive, as what Nurul has mentioned. It's not about trying to take advantage of them. It's trying to look at their point of view and how can we serve them better, right? And it's, for us, it's about it's like free home delivery charges, packages, keep connecting with them. And then the responsiveness of that, yeah. So for us, we in IJN, we can emphasize on patient experience. But now, during this time, is translating that into digital patient experience. So, I mean, we have enlarged and redeployed some of our staff to our call center. Briefing them on, on the follow-up of things that need to be done. Then trying to understand the client, patient. For us in the medical field, it's about fear of having COVID, going to the hospital. Right? So we have to connect to our patient that, yes, we have put in place precautions, social distancing, SOP, to prevent from this happening. So you are safe to come to IJN for treatment. We have in fact invested in our own lab to do COVID testing. So we can have a COVID test result by within the same day or 24 hours. So we have invested in the testing in-house. We have got that accredited, although it takes some time by the authorities, but we get it accredited. We are an accredited COVID testing. And we are charging that at a very minimal rate. So we are all now opening up for public, not our patient, but public, to have COVID testing for employment or people who want to start back work in construction or whatever, right? So we have opened our doors for drive-in COVID testing, for example. So this, always we are asking what is our patient, our staff, our customer needs, and how can we address that at a very minimal cost and the experience that they will experience through our channels. So I think that's basically what I'm trying to do. Not trying to lecture the ladies or the audience, but we are always keeping in mind of being innovative. Fast, quick, fail fast, learn fast. And don't overthink of what the strategies. I mean, in the fast-moving world and disruptive world, you have to be innovative, agile, always be free and unafraid of making mistakes. And if you do small steps, the mistakes wouldn't be that big anyway. So you can always adjust yourself.
I like that. No, don't overthink it. I mean, we don't have time to overthink.
Just do it. As long as you have a very clear vision, have a very clear thing in mind, and and just carry on. And I mean, we humans are, you know, very adaptable, very so we learn through mistakes very fast.
Good advice indeed, Dr. Sri. Okay, just selingan, iklan. Telkom Malaysia does have local cloud, Dr. Sri. So if you want your data in country, we have it. Anyway,
yeah, for sure.
anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard all this from all this lineup of stellar panelists. You have heard the earlier talk from Azlan, as well as the other lineups throughout the entire 6-part series. We have heard about how the big boys, such as IGN, TM, Celcom Axiata, even MDEC, what the big boys can do to help the SMEs. Celcom Axiata earlier had presented a great program to help SMEs. I'm sure MDEC has a great program too, so does Telekom Malaysia. Are we doing enough? Do you need more from us? How can we help you more? And anyone, not Dr. Sri, but the ladies. How can we help you more in this time?
Well,
Of course, we need money, like Sarah was saying just now.
we need money. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, because the arts industry has been hit really hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think people realize that, you know, how many hundreds of thousands of people depend on live events, and you know, it's not just performers, but all the people who work behind the scenes as well. The electricians, the technicians, the costume, you know, the ladies who sew the costumes, stage managers. So I think naturally I would like to say if corporate Malaysia could come forward and support the arts a lot more. IGN has been supportive, and as has Celcom, thank you, especially when we did Ola Bola the musical. But more support like that for the arts, because it's going to be very, very hard trying to recover the cost of a show just by selling tickets. It always has been, even from before. We could never break even, and it's a chicken and egg situation, because you can't charge West End prices in Malaysia. So whenever the corporates come forward to support, it always helps us at least try and get to that break-even point for every performance. And it's hundreds of people at a time, every time.
I totally want to piggyback off what Tiara is saying. I think corporates are in a better position. They're not in the best position either, but they're in a much better position in comparison to a lot of us running our SMEs. And I think if they're also understanding, or they align with the values that we have in whatever industries that we're in, I think it helps a great deal. And it also allows them to you know, permeate their message through the things that we're doing. And I think that's been one of my, you know, greatest godsends, because if I have a company saying, hey, we love what you're doing, we want to piggyback off what you're saying, and we believe in what you're doing, it allows us to help them personify their brand in such a human way that really makes it a win-win for us, because we have the support from a corporate, and yet they have the honesty and the truth of what we're doing. And I think that's something that, you know, I wish could happen a little bit easier. And I don't know if there needs to be maybe a circular, or like letting people know what SMEs, what's happening. Because I know on social media, you know, we've been using that hashtag Kita Jaga Kita, right? And just saying, hey, try out my mom's curry puffs, or like so-and-so is down to make bread, and this and that. And you know, we've really started to see that emerge from MCO, which is really comforting, because you know, that's transcended through anything, the human spirit. But yes, I mean, as a business, how else can we feel supported with companies coming together and saying, you know, we believe in what you do, this is what we need to do, how can we work together? And I think that's a conversation that I would love to have and love to be a part of.
Okay, cool. We hear you loud and clear. I'm hoping Amdaik and the rest of the big boys are also hearing this, and I'm sure we can work something out together. Okay, I'm getting cute that we are running out of time. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it from them. Disruption, pivot, opportunity, challenge, agility, innovative. These are the things that we took away from this. But more importantly, it is the connection to the customers that is important. Technology is just an enabler. We connect to our customers no matter what the medium is, whether you're big, whether you're small, it is the customer connection that's important, right? And God willing, we will survive this, and we will survive this together. Like Sarah said, hashtag kita jaga kita. With that, we wrap up our session this morning. Thank you to all our panelists. You have been absolutely wonderful. Please continue.
Lovely meeting all of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Please
thank you so
continue.
much.
Stay safe, guys.
Spread your positivity. You have good positivity. You have good vibes. We can never have enough of this right now. And to all of you who have tuned into this webinar, I hope you have all found it useful. And in all earnest, we are in this together. Stay safe, everyone. I'm now going to pass it back to Bali for the Q&A session. Stay on, the panelists, because there might be questions for you. Bali, back to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I'm still smiling wide because I had a huge crush, on Tiara ever since I watched Puteri Gunung Ledang, because I think Puteri Gunung Ledang was my officially my first movie. I watched Malay movie, and from there on I started having more interest. I'm just smiling. I cannot actually stop smiling.
I had a crush on Enfiniti, so yeah.
Oh my God.
But my heart is like so.
My window. Sorry, I can't see you because the host
Okay.
has
No, it's good that you don't see me, because I'll blush again. So that's fine. Your voice is fine. But I would like to actually. But I would like to just say that there is no Q&As. Ever since the panel segment started, every single one has been all echoing based on whatever you guys have mentioned. Everybody is resonating towards whatever you guys have been saying. And I think the most important and the most vital takeaway from me was that, do what you can control, and maximize the output and gain the best potential from what you can control, and what things which you cannot control, just leave it aside. But I would like to also, say thank you to Nurul from Mimpikita. Thank you so much for joining, sending you good vibes and positive vibes. Dr. Sri Dr. Azhari Yaakob from IGN. I would like to say thank you, sir. My uncle was admitted on 3 weeks ago, and he just recovered, and he's out of the IGN facility 3 days ago. So thank you so much. And the SOPs during COVID-19 is spot on, and it's remarkable. So congratulations to the entire IGN team. Sarah from Suppagood, thank you so much. And the administrators of WPN, they are blushing away because he's one of your fans. So he's like, I cannot do this. So he's also having a nervous moment. So thank you, Sarah. And thank you, Tiara. Thank you so much, Tiara from Enfiniti. We hope that we can definitely visit Tiarasa very soon. And Ezatul from TM1. This was a definitely tough segment, and I think the best of the best of panel segment, and we couldn't ask for a better moderator. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Woohoo!
Thank you.
We shall catch coffee after this.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Reunion at Tiarasa Escape.
Yes, please.
Okay,
Thank you
we will
all.
get through this.
Hi,
together, guys. Thank you
ladies.
so much.
Sorry I can't see you for some reason, but yeah, stay in touch, okay? Let's
I
find
will.
each other on Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, that was the panel discussion. Moving on to our final segment for our final episode of SME Unplugged, Clinic, with the topic of remote working, its benefits, and how to optimize your time for improved productivity, which is going to be presented by our practitioner, our doctor, because this is a clinic, so you get that idea, by Marcus Teng, Marketing Manager, Time Tech Cloud. Brief introduction about Marcus, an engineering graduate joining Time Tech Cloud as a product engineer, heavily involved in product development process from initial stage to ready to market solutions. Currently positioned as marketing manager and leading the sales team for Smart Office Solution. Dr. Marcus Teng, sorry, I have to call you a doctor today because of the clinic segment.
The clinic
Dr. Marcus, take it away, sir.
Okay, thanks, Belly. So good morning. So I hope you guys can see my presentation slide here. And first of all, thank you so much, MDEC, for actually inviting me as a part of the sharing session of this SME Unplugged clinic session. And thank you, Wood Labs, to actually be part of this and also host this session. Belly, can you hear me? You guys can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, sure, just to make sure. All right. So today's topic, what I'm going to talk about is that how SME can actually digitalize their workforce in more of a HR and boss perspective of this post-COVID-19. So it's relatively new because we first time in many years we actually experienced this work from home. We have this remote working environment. We stay actually very comfortably in our home, doing work and at the same time doing chores of our house and so on. And we also adopt online meetings. So as we are having now, we have this Zoom meeting, which is amazing. We don't need to travel to gather around and all this renting of spaces or fancy hotels. So it's good. It's cost saving and it's also very effective. Yeah. So today, what a little bit background of our company. So our company is known as Time Tech. So we actually started off with biometric technologies, those with face recognition, fingerprint devices to actually check in, check out the staff attendance. Okay. So we have done it for over 20 years already, and our current workforce is actually at around 150 employees. So the brand of the biometric device that we are actually holding is a finger tag. So maybe some of you guys actually heard of this brand. And a couple of years ago, we actually ventured into this cloud solutions, cloud-based application, which is able to enable HR transformations and management of the staff workforce using cloud solutions. Yeah, so we have more than half of our workforce is actually programmers. So we take our development very seriously. Apart from the time attendance workforce management solutions, we do have other solutions such as in security, in a smart office, any offices and premises, the system that you're going to need in your office. We have a series of it, a complete version of it, and yeah. So our solution is actually also ISO 27001 certified, and yep. So let's talk about a bit of the impact of this COVID-19 to SMEs. So particularly we can see it in both in two scenarios, is that the direct impact which causes by the lockdown, a lot of business actually forced to close their business for during this lockdown. And another one is actually indirect impact, which is a long-term impact as we going into this new normal, that some of the things that we might need to adapt and practice after this direct impact, right? So some of the direct impacts, yep. So to the economy, to the SME, so the workers actually, they lost their jobs. So some of the businesses, they actually have these cash flow issues, and most important thing is the SOP which allow them to resume to business is actually increasing their operation costs. So it becomes a huge challenge for the SME to actually revitalize their businesses. So this SOP, including taking the employee temperatures, including recording them down, So you might need to hire or actually invest some of the equipment, some of the workforce to actually perform this operation, this SOP, right? So that gives some of increase of the operation cost to the SME. So yeah. So as part of this workforce protection and revival program, so as I'm going to talk about now, so this is actually a vital solution to SME to actually protect their staff from actually getting a risk of them infected by this COVID-19, and at the same time revive their business post-pandemic, post-COVID-19 pandemic. So so how the SMEs is going to protect? Some tips for the SME to protect their workforce or even their visitors coming to their office and all that. So these solutions is it can serve as a contact tracing tool. So as employees, they can actually register their attendance. All right. So as a timestamp to this location, and it's some sort it will have a record in the system, and it's transparent, so the HR can actually access to the solution and see all these records. So in case any of the employees actually infected with this or you actually have close contact with these positive cases, so this is a very good tool for them to actually trace what are the transactions or what are the contacts actually during that particular time, who they meet, and at the same time who is inside that building at the same time. Yeah. So and it also serves as a monitoring of the staff health. And for now, most of us we can see that it's still manual using the temperature sensor to actually scan one by one. Whereas there is equipment to actually scan the body temperature of the staff automatically. So it registers the temperature, body temperature information into the system automatically. So this eventually saves costs and also protect the employees and actually preventing the risk of this infected COVID-19 in your office, right? So, and as a revival plan of this SME, let me just move my screen here. So it eventually helps to restart the business safely, as yes, the same you can actually monitor and detect any COVID-19 suspect cases, and you can actually retrieve the report by assessing the solution or the system. So it's also reducing the fear of workers who are going back to work. Some of us are still working from home because the fear of going back to office and in close contact with the crowds in a confined space. So which we can then eliminate by actually imposing and deployment of this kind of solution. So it's for time attendance, yeah. So from a HR perspective, it's very, very important. So even though they are working from home, the time attendance, they will still need to have some sort of record of them actually checking from their home or as a proof or the report of them working from home. So the business owners will then manage their workforce more efficiently. The boss will knowing that their workers is actually working from home, and they have a report of that to actually see and access easily right from the mobile apps, right? So, and this is maybe digitalization for SMEs. So cloud-based solutions definitely will pave their way towards these digital transformations of their system. So yeah, and there is definitely no extra burden added. So you handle the SOP and improve business operation at the same time. And automation of the business operations in terms of workforce workforce management is also a key point in this program, right? So yep. So we have this program as a time tap program. So it's an attendance, staff health monitoring, and travel monitoring system. So for those who are actually back to work in their office, so on-premise checking, I think it's not that new. Okay, so every one of us, we need to check in or clock in to work every day when we reach the office. So for SME, so we actually provide a series of the clocking options for all kinds of industry in the SMEs. So what we do now is to actually promote social distancing, contactless transactions, and health screening. So meaning by saying that, it means that the contactless transactions, it comes from by using your own personal smartphone, right? So when you are in the office, the normal way of us doing the check-in would be perhaps using the punch card. So by using some kind of card access, or by using some fingerprint verification. But by that, SME can actually adopt this contactless clocking system. So which the mobile apps will then be installed on each of the personal smartphones of the staff. They can then check in directly from their phone every day, right? So this goes to right directly to the solution, to the system, as the transaction of the staff to checking in. Okay, so on the go check-in, on the go clocking. So for us, some of the staff, they are actually mobile. They work outside office, or they move around meeting clients and so on. So at this stage of time, we have this tool to actually to track the location and person of whom they met on the daily basis. So for example, a salesperson who would like to meet their clients or their suppliers outside of their office. So they check in there and then when they arrive at the location, and they would also have the option to include the names of which the person they met as a record of this contact traceability. So it's actually a very good tool for the mobile staff because it's right on your hands, the mobile. So basically you just open it up and you just check in. It will actually record your location, your date and time of the check-in, and you key in the information and whom you visit and who you met and so on, right? And the next one will be working from home clocking, which most of us are actually experiencing during the lockdown, starting on March. So this is interesting because when the government actually announced that it's going to have this lockdown, most of the businesses from the HR perspective is they panic. So they panic because not because of this lockdown, but more because of the staff workforce. How are they going to check on their daily attendance and some of the claims, maybe the overtime claims, the mileage claims, the leave. So when they're applying sick leave and no leave, how are they going to check this without them having physically in the office, right? So working from home, we have this working from home clocking that is eventually the same method. So each staff will then have this mobile app installed on the phone, and from their phone, from the comfort of their home, they can just check in using their handphone, their smartphone, as a record of this attendance, right? So yeah. Yeah, so of course we have all these clocking methods to fulfill the SME's different business nature on premise for staff that actually working in the office, for staff actually mobile staff, and for staff is actually working from home, right? And all these information, all these transactions, when they check in from their phone, is eventually centralized into one single system, right? And it's actually save cost because you don't need to invest maybe some of the hardware you need to invest and install the office. And the monitoring from the HR perspective is actually real time. So some of the shift and overtime of the staff workforce can also be monitored easily using the system. And what good about this is actually it's linkable to third-party systems. So I'm for sure some of the SMEs, they have their internal systems such as payroll, such as some of the HRIS, such as some of the POS system and all that. So eventually it's actually linkable to this payroll system and this third-party system. So it makes the whole operation more seamless and easier, and it's more cost saving and cost effective, right? So, and the contact tracing of this, yeah, you trace the visit of your sales and support staff and any close contacts or casual contacts. So the system will eventually generate a very intuitive report of each individual from which of the location they check in and all that. So eventually track the tracing from there. So let's take a look at this scenario, this illustration of this zoo as a sales staff infected COVID-19. Okay, so and this illustration is eventually to illustrate how the movement of Zoo from his office, maybe during his daily life, to his family, their home, and so on, and how this time tag and Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka is actually most of us know that a contact tracing app announced by the government to actually protect the public as a whole, right? So Zoo, yep. So day one, he meets his colleague in his office. So he travel around the office and so on. So and his colleagues eventually got visited by another visitors and so on. And the visitors, which is a insurance agent, or meet their clients and so on, and meet their families and so on. So the chain of these close contact is eventually spread out. So how Contact this Contact app can do is that to stop and to break the chain. Okay, so in order to by using these methods of this Sri Lanka, so eventually when you visit some place, you have a QR code to scan and record all this. So you sort of combine these information to eventually track back all the person that have included and have close contact in this cluster, right? So yeah, I hope you guys got a clear view of how this illustration works. And as for SME business operations, as you can see from this diagram, so each of the business operations from a payroll, from your office access control, from your internal recruitment, staff profile, attendance, OT claim, mileage claim, scheduling, remote branches. You have branches in maybe in the different locations. Is actually manual or rather standalone workforce management. So it is costly to actually maintain each of the systems independently, standalone. It's not efficient, it's not effective, and you require more labor, more workforce to actually maintain each of these operations. And it's hard for you to combine all these information. And if at the end of the day, the reports come out to be inaccurate, and it's hard for you to analyze all this data. So this is how SME to adopt digitalization by combining or centralizing all these business operations. right? So from our side, we were actually handling attendance, so work from home attendance. So we are actually handling some OT claims, scheduling. So for remote branches, staff workforce, you get them to actually centralize all their attendance into one single platform. So you got to track your sales and support staff. So where they meet, where they go, visit their clients and so on. And eventually all this information is having a centralized platform for you to actually analyze and build it. And at the end of the day, you can actually post some of the information to payroll, salary, calculating, and so on. Yeah. Okay, some of the pain points of the SME facing in HR digital transformation. So, and we have the solutions to actually tackle each of the pain points, and eventually the outcome, some of the outcome is pretty promising. So, for example, I'll just take one example. So, multiple data sources problem, the first one, yeah. So for SMEs like retail industry, you have branches, you have a lot of branches, right? So each of the branches, you have your staff checking in, maybe using their own methods. Yep. So it's actually hard for the HR to centralize the data in order to pay them the salary or their overtime, right? So, and the solution to that is actually to centralize all these the cloud-based system like TimeTag, and eventually automate these processes. And yeah, so you will reduce the admin work and increase the efficiency at the same time. You don't need to call and ask each of the branches supervisors to send you reports, and by the end of the month, and you have got to go in one by one to actually check and see the whole month records, and it takes up maybe 3 to 5 days just focusing on this task by the end of the month. And eventually it's not effective, and sometimes it still got some human error by actually going through all this manually. So you got some complaints from employees, for example, some discrepancy between the employers and employees. So this system, this cloud-based system eventually can help tackle all these pain points. So some of the uncontrollable overtime costs, so manual approval, and it's not transparent for the HR to see whether this staff has eventually working a fair amount of overtime when they pay the salary. So yeah, so all this is actually very useful tools for the SMEs. Right. So I'm just going to point out two industries. As a normal SME, normal corporation, so you got your HQ, you got your staff working in office, you got your mobile staff and work from home staff. So this diagram eventually, by using this kind of cloud-based contact system, so you eventually going to have this data centralization, and it's real time. You can access it anywhere, so even from the phone. So even the boss is actually out of office, they can actually know their workforce right from the phone. So the analysis of their workforce, whom of them, how many percent is actually on leave today, and so on. Yeah. So, and it's definitely a employee self-service system also, that the staff, they eventually can sign in to see their own attendance, right? They got this interactive feature with the employees, which they can submit their overtime claim, they can submit their editing of their attendance. So it's real time, and by rectifying this along the timeline, so it reduced the admin's work to actually go through the whole month again by the end of the month or during the payroll period, right? And for as a retail industry, yeah, so you have your outlets in maybe in a shopping mall, you have a individual shop lot somewhere. So you got your consignment inside a department store and all that. So how are you going to actually monitor each staff workforce on a daily basis, right? So eventually, TimeTech can actually help to centralize and get all these information in real time. And it's good for the HR and the operation team to actually plan the workforce also. So how are they going to plan the workforce for any of the locations which is maybe more crowds? So you got to plan your workforce to focus more workforce on that particular branch and so on. Yep. So for retail industry, yeah, so some of the events and promotion maybe it's not happening during this period of time. So when all this is over, maybe we can back to this attending events and so on. So for part-timers, this system is also very good tools for them. As the supervisor, they can actually check in on behalf of the part-timers to actually record their time in, time out, because part-timers is actually on an hourly basis. So by having this time in, time out, so you got to know that how many hours of these part-timers has contribute to work. So eventually the payout of the salary is also fair and transparent and also effective. Yep. So the implementation of this tool, TimeTech TA stands for time attendance, is actually very easy. So it's a cloud-based solution. It can be deployed DIY. Trust me, within 60 minutes or less for SME less than 200 staff. Yeah. So we have provided this self-learn video available. It guides you step by step on how are you actually going to deploy, implement this system at the shortest time available, right? So we do provide support and implementations for SMEs that require our support, right? And we have a very strong technical and support team. Yeah. So any inquiries regarding the system, so we can actually help and assist to actually deploy the system quickly and effectively, particularly during this period of time, COVID-19. So most of the business, they wish to implement this kind of system to digitalize their workforce management system. So yeah, again, a lot of us are still working from home. So yes, some of the so I'm going to share some of these user interface of this system. We heard a lot about it, so let's just share a little bit of that. So these are a interface of the health screening. So on the daily basis, the employee is required to check the body temperatures, right? So this is where, instead of using pen and paper to record the employee's body temperature, this is where you can actually register. Yeah, right. So with some of the remarks alongside with the temperature. So the reports of the body temperature. So these are some of the samples. So it's also to suit the government SOP by recording the staff and also visitors' body temperature. Right. So this is the dashboard of the web portal. So eventually you have analysis of who's on leave today, who's on tardiness today, who's late in today, who's no MIA today, and so on. Yeah, it's very user friendly, and it's also available in your mobile app. So we have all these reports, analysis of your staff workforce, daily attendance, you got this listing of your staff and so on. And we have this chart to actually have more insights of the attendance analysis of your staff, right? And some of the mobile user interface that we have, and you can see the same chart is also available in the app, so you can check in from your phone. And we have more modules on the app that you can actually see your own timetable, your rostering, and so on. Okay, so you got to know your staff, your colleagues, and so on. Yeah, so a little bit from our customers. Yep, so we actually provide our solutions and services to a vast area of industry in the market other than SME. So yeah, it's actually flexible, and it's actually managed to cater a lot of most of the industry requirements when it comes to workforce management and so on. Yes. So you can see some of these industries from the logistics, healthcare, and real estate. And some of them are actually from manufacturing, from the retail, from the restaurant, hospitality, and so on. And the good news is our company, very soon we will announce some sort of sponsorship program to SMEs in Malaysia. So to adopt this system, to adopt the digital transformation of their workforce management. So stay tuned. So very soon we will actually announce this sponsorship program. So to benefit and to encourage, empower, enable the SME to adopt the digital transformation. Okay, and I think that's all for my presentation today. Once again, thank you very much for inviting me, MDEC, and also Word Labs to hosting this session. So back to you, Glenn.
Thank you. Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, first and foremost, I would like to, now I'm blurred out, okay, cool. First and foremost, I would like to just say that, thank you so much, Marcus. I think that if I was having a organization right now, and, and if I want to, instantly convert it and digitalize my scheduling or roster system, a way to track, my employees' timing, and also what they're doing. And I think this tool is really powerful because it gives you an end-to-end perspective. Now, before I actually, before we actually go on to our next segment, we'll just have one question. And before we get to that question, to those who are still logged in, that the presentation slide will be shared if you have already been registered in the email distro. And if you have not, please contact Word Labs Business Network or MDEC, and then we will actually push that the slides which has been presented by Azlan and also Marcus to you. Now, Marcus, question: if let's say I have a company with less than about this is only one question we have. We have about less than 200 employees. All right. How much would the implementation for your technology would cost? We are talking money here, or would you like to take this offline?
Yeah, it's okay.
You would like to
so yeah, that's fine. Because our solutions is actually on a subscription basis. So it's actually on a headcount basis, a monthly subscription fee or yearly subscription fee. Yeah, so we are actually starting at 5 ringgit per employee per month. So that is actually very, very affordable for SME to actually adopt this kind of a high technology system.
Okay, I think that's very simple and easy to answer.
The
question from Patricia. Patricia, I hope I've answered the question. Thank you, Patricia, for that. And Marcus, thank you so much, my friend. I believe that was a very good presentation, and sending you good vibes and positive vibes through these tough times. Thank you so much for all the effort.
Thank you.
Cheers, buddy. Okay.
Yep, cheers.
So that was the final clinic segment for our final episode. Now I'm a bit sad. I'm a bit emotional because it has been such a wonderful journey. And to those who have been with us since the first episode and counting with me till the last, to those who joined even today from Zoom and Facebook. Thank you so much. You know, this would never been possible without you guys. We thought that we could not even muster about 100 attendees, but we have actually collected views more than thousands. I can't even count. We can't even actually collect the numbers because numbers are so huge, and it keep on being viewed on a daily basis. So thank you so much. And guys, to actually find out more information about the upcoming series, do join Word Labs Business Network Facebook page. It will be posted up on the comment or chat section. And also, we will be posting up the MDEC's quick links for the SME quick links, and also to find out how you could actually join the 100 Go Digital community as well. So those information will be posted up on Facebook and Zoom as well. So thank you so much. And if you're interested in some motivational and also something to lift up your spirit, you know, I will have some projects which will be starting next week onwards. You can just follow my Facebook page or Instagram, Bali Dylan, to find out more information. And I would say that all good things doesn't come to an end, especially when COVID-19. It's just a start for new things and more bigger contents which will be pushed out, because this was just a stepping stone to greater things. So I don't think this is a goodbye. I think this is just a beginning. So till then, be safe, stay safe. We will get through this together. I'm signing off with the final episode of SME Unplugged 100 Go Digital series, brought to you by MDEC and Word Lab Business Network. Yes, the poll is already up, so please do give your honest feedback on these 4 questions in the feedback form. And do not log off, please do not log off. We have a special infographic followed by a special video coming up right after this. So with that, I would like to sign off, and let's see the infographic and the video. Bye-bye, guys. See you.